Birds found in the McDowell Sonoran Preserve range from the minute hummingbird to the majestic golden eagle. From desert natives to winter residents, over 125 species have been found and documented in the preserve by the volunteers of the McDowell Sonoran Field Institute. How do birds live under the harsh desert conditions of high aridity, daily and seasonal temperature extremes, and lack of rainfall? The primary strategy for dealing with high temperatures is avoiding it. Birds are active during cooler times of the day. They migrate in summer and find shade during the hottest time of the day. Birds also have a high body temperature, around 104 degrees. They don't need to cool themselves off until the air temperature exceeds their body temperature. Birds also have ways of losing heat from their body. They can compress their feathers to reduce the insulating airspace between their feathers and their body. They dilate blood vessels in their legs to pass the excess heat to the cooler air. They also rely on evaporative cooling. By panting, air flows over moist areas of the mouth to cool the surface, which circulates cooler blood within the bird. As temperatures go up, the need for water increases. Birds can fly to water sources. They get moisture from the food they eat. And they are capable of producing a limited amount of water metabolically by oxidizing food. Let's explore some of the more common and iconic birds that live in the McDowell Sonoran Preserve. The Greater Roadrunner doesn't really say meep meep like its cartoon cousin. Neither can it outrace a coyote clocking in at 30 miles an hour. Although it will fly to escape a predator, the Greater Roadrunner spends most of its time on the ground and can reach 15 miles an hour to catch its prey. It uses its long tail as a rudder, and like other members of the cuckoo family, it has zygodactyl feet, 2 toes in front, 2 toes in back, to give them speed. Lizards, birds, and even rattlesnakes are part of their extensive diet. They can even jump straight up to catch hummingbirds from the air. The roadrunner kills its prey by beating it against a rock before eating it whole. The Gambel's quail, another terrestrial bird, is stocky with a small bill and a cluster of black feathers on its head called a topknot. When startled, their short, rounded wings allow the birds an explosive takeoff to avoid predation. In winter, coveys as large as 20 individuals scurry across the desert, quietly clucking to one another as they search for seeds and green vegetation. In spring, males call from a high perch to declare their territory. Females lay eggs in a protected shallow depression on the ground and line it with grass and leaves. All the eggs hatch the same day, and the chicks, no more than fluffy balls of feathers with legs, immediately leave the nest with their parents. The Harris's hawk is a social raptor, a unique characteristic for birds of prey. Family groups work together to defend a nest and to feed nestlings. They hunt as a team. While one bird flushes a rabbit from under a bush, others dive in from above to capture their prey before sharing a meal. Possibly due to limited roost availability, or maybe for a better view of prey in the desert, these dark birds of prey have been observed stacking, an unusual behavior where 2 or more Harris's hawks will perch on top of each other. Our state bird, the Cactus Wren, is a common sight and sound of the preserve. Its loud call sounds like a car engine trying to start up on a cold morning. A true desert bird, the Cactus Wren can live without freestanding water, getting the moisture it needs from a varied diet of arthropods, fruit, seeds, and even nectar. Cactus wrens build several football-shaped and sized nests for roosting, breeding, and as decoys to confuse predators. The nest has a side entry and is placed in a spiny cholla cactus or thorny tree for protection. It's made of dry plant material and lined with feathers and soft grasses. 3 hummingbird species have been observed in the McDowell Sonoran Preserve: the Costas hummingbird, the Anna's hummingbird, and the black-chinned hummingbird. One way to distinguish between them is to note the color of the male's iridescent throat patch, or gorget. Among the smallest birds in the world, hummingbirds can fly in any direction, including backward. They will hover as they feed on nectar, preferring, but not limited to, the red, tubular flowers of plants such as the ocotillo and tuberosa. Hummingbirds may also eat small, soft-bodied arthropods. All are extremely territorial and will aggressively protect their feeding, courtship, and nesting areas. Hike the preserve trails in winter, and you are likely to spot a male Fauna perched atop a mesquite tree. Often referred to as the black cardinal because of their similar size and that prominent crest, the Phainopepla is actually a member of the silky flycatcher family. Although adults will catch flying insects for themselves and their young, they feed primarily on the berries of desert mistletoe. They help spread this parasitic native plant when the undigested seed is deposited onto a suitable branch. While the Phainopepla flees to the mountains to escape the heat of the desert summer, the turkey vulture becomes a common sight against the cloudless blue sky. This carrion eater has a 6-foot wingspan. As it soars the cooler high air above, it holds those wings in a V shape as its body rocks from side to side. Since their black feathers absorb a lot of heat during the day, they utilize Urohydrosis to help lower their body temperature. In this process, the turkey vulture urinates onto their red legs, turning them white. This allows evaporation to draw heat from their body and circulate the cooled blood back into its system. Larger than the resident mourning dove, the white-winged dove arrives in time for the flowering and fruiting of the saguaro cactus. White-wings play a large role in the life cycle of saguaros, helping to pollinate the flowers as they feed on nectar and pollen. While they eat the bright red pulp and seeds of the saguaro fruit, when they regurgitate the fruit to their young, occasionally saguaro seeds may fall to the ground and germinate. These birds get most of the moisture they need from the moist fruit, but at other times will travel 25 miles in search of water. The saguaro cactus is also important to 2 of our local woodpeckers. Both the Gila woodpecker and the larger Gilded flicker excavate holes in the cactus stems for nests. The saguaro protects itself from infection by forming a callus over the wound. These hardened structures, called boots, are used by the birds because they are cooler in summer and warmer in winter. Since the primary food of the gilded flicker is ants, this ground-feeding bird has a weaker bill than the Gila woodpecker. Because of this, it bores its nest cavities through the softer skeleton at the top developing portion of the saguaro. The holes it creates may harm or eventually kill the cactus. Tiny elf owls and western screech owls are among the birds that nest in abandoned woodpecker holes. Great horned owls, on the other hand, rarely build their own nest. They breed early in January and February and will acquire a red-tailed hawk or raven's nest from the previous year before those birds begin to breed. The great horned owl is the largest owl in the Sonoran Desert. It weighs between 2 and 3 pounds and stands 2 feet tall. These nocturnal or nighttime hunters have excellent eyesight and hearing and fly silently to capture a wide variety of prey, including mice, rabbits, snakes, and skunks. During the day, the raptors roost in trees for protection from enemies and the sun. Like roadrunners, quails, and doves, owls speed up evaporative cooling with Gular fluttering. These birds open their mouths wide and flutter their throat region to evaporate water from their mouth cavities. To learn more about these and other birds found in the McDowell Sonoran Preserve, join one of the monthly McDowell Sonoran Conservancy's bird walks led by the Conservancy stewards during the regular hike season.